Welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Rachel Winstead, naturopathic physician and host of the ReBootology Health podcast, an interview series with leading experts of highly effective natural solutions for the health and happiness challenges faced by the modern woman. Here at the ReBootology podcast, we don't believe there are bad therapies, just therapies that aren't right for everyone, and we keep looking for better care options. We believe there's a place for both symptom relief and treating the root cause of illness in medicine, and that's why we are excited to be doing this series where we discuss different conditions and wellness approaches with experts in their field. Thank you for joining us for today's interview. Today we have Dr. Holly Kendra with us. Dr. Holly Kendra, please say hello to our audience and we will give them some information about your impressive background.
Hey everyone.
Dr. Kendra, naturopathic doctor, pain medicine specialist, and functional medicine practitioner, is here with us today. She owns her private practice, Luminosity Wellness, in North Muskegon, Michigan. She is the busy mother of two. She's also a leading voice in holistic health and natural wellness. Her background includes being an adjunct faculty at Bastyr University, renowned for its naturopathic medicine program, and she brings a wealth of experience at her practice. As a respected speaker, Dr. Kendra has graced the stages of various health and wellness expos, captivated audiences with her insights into holistic health, especially the transformative power of light therapy. Her commitment to education shines through in the seminars she offers, both locally and online, empowering individuals to take charge of their well-being. Beyond her clinical work and education initiatives, Dr. Kendra is a community builder, hosting engaging gatherings that foster connections, promote holistic wellness. Dr. Kendra's mission is to guide individuals in their journey to vibrant health and happiness, making her a trusted source of inspiration and expertise in the field of medicine. For more information, visit her website, which will be linked in the show notes below. Welcome, Dr. Holly Kendra. I'm excited you could join us.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
I also want to remind everyone that we will not be answering questions during our live interview, but feel free to add comments and we will address them after. Okay, Dr. Kendra, first question. So many of our listeners are busy dealing with burnout. They tend to be tired and wired. Often they complain of not sleeping well and frequently needing Tylenol to address tension headaches and back pain. Do you see this type of patient in your practice? If so, do you have any insights into what is going on with them with these health challenges?
Yes, actually, that is a lot of what I see in my practice. And really, a lot of what it comes down to is addressing mitochondrial health. And I'm just going to dive right in because this is really, it may get a little technical, but it's the crux of the issue. And so we're starting to hear a lot about mitochondria today. Yeah. It's kind of becoming a buzzword in the biohacker field or the functional medicine world, things like that. You're starting to hear a lot more about the term mitochondria. And so for those that don't know, mitochondria are these tiny little organelles that exist within all of our cells. They're termed the powerhouse, so to speak, of our cells because they really generate up to 95% of all of our energy that we use. And so knowing that all disease is some form of low energy state, it really just comes down to the mitochondria. Our cells average anywhere from 100 to 1,000 mitochondria per cell, depending on the energy demand of those cells that are performing. So, for example, cardiac cells, heart cells, can have up to 5,000 mitochondria per cell, liver cells, 800,000. And so really, it just kind of depends on what the energy demand is of that cell to note how much mitochondria they have. Now, the mitochondria, they generate 90% of our energy, but they also can generate up to 90% of our free radical burden.
Hmm.
And free radicals are another thing that we hear a lot about. You know, when people talk about taking your vitamin C, it's an antioxidant, it helps to fight the free radicals, right? So mitochondria have these kind of two functions. They have this energy producing mode and then this defense mode. So they have to kind of go into these two different modes and be able to flow back and forth between the two in order to both generate energy for us and to kind of keep us healthy on the other side. And when we increase our stress load in our body and in our field, in our environment,
All types of stress?
all types of stress, whether it's good stress, bad stress, whatever the stress load is.
So like work
We have
emails
a
at
threshold.
midnight versus,
Hmm.
going to the gym and lifting heavy things and
Yeah.
up and down. Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
All types of stress because we have a threshold. We have a threshold for stress load that our body can handle. And when it gets too high, when we start putting too much stress on our body, whether it's good stress or bad stress, it starts to tip that scale on the mitochondria into the defense mode. And it tips it towards increasing more free radicals. And so we need to work on addressing the free radical cleanup versus producing energy. And so that's why you start to see so many people that have just like constant fatigue, but they're also sick. Mitochondrial dysfunction is becoming a huge thing, and we're seeing it associated with so many different things, and it becomes a vicious cycle. There's some sort of trigger that tips us on that scale into the free radical needing to do defense mode and clean up the free radicals, and then it leads to that decreased efficiency of your mitochondria. So they're not producing the power that they're supposed to. They're not generating ATP and power and energy for our body, leading to further damage and dysfunction, leading to further triggers, and it just becomes this vicious cycle. So for those out there that are dealing with things like chronic fatigue syndrome, migraines, metabolic syndrome, fibromyalgia, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, mold, Lyme, allergies, asthma, autoimmune, frequent illness and infection, you want to start and scale it down to the cellular level and look at mitochondrial dysfunction as the root of the problem. So what you need to do long term is really just address that mitochondrial health so we can tip those scales back towards the side of producing energy.
Yeah, I mean, totally see that in my own patients that there's a lot of mitochondrial dysfunction, oxidative stress. And while I kind of take the standpoint of there's something else that's going on for my Lyme and mold and autoimmune disease patients, I always treat their mitochondria, whether we have that frank conversation or not. As a matter of fact, my favorite multivitamin is a high quality multi that's designed to help treat mitochondria and support it. So
Yeah.
100%, I am right on board. And it sounds like you've put a lot of time and care and thought into how to best support mitochondria with a
Yeah.
lot of your practice, like geared your practice towards that. So that's so cool.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so, Dr. Kendra, your expertise is in harmonic light therapy. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that is? I'm not as familiar with harmonic light therapy as I am other light therapy modalities. And also tell us how you use that modality, that tool to help those tired and wired patients that you see.
Yeah, yeah. Excuse me.
It's
So
the
light
season.
therapy, right? Light therapy has been used all over the world and in thousands of hospitals and clinics and for years and years and years and years and years, whether people know it or acknowledge it or not. And so, you know, when you think about, I know when my first kiddo was born, he was incredibly jaundiced, and they had to put
Mm.
him under the Billy lights. And so the bilirubin lights they use in hospitals and NICU units for jaundiced kids and everything, that is a form of light therapy. We have low level laser therapy that's being on the rise. You're seeing a lot more low level laser therapy being used. Infrared saunas are huge, and sterilizing lights. We use UV lights to sterilize a lot of our medical instruments and things like that. There are thousands of studies on light therapy and what it can do for the body. You really just have to know how to look for them. So if you're someone like me who likes to cruise PubMed and look for new studies all the time, the big giant word you're going to want to search if you want to learn more about light therapy is photobiomodulation. That's the term that research scientists use when they're looking into light therapy. Another one you can look for is low-level light therapy. That is becoming more prevalent to see in the literature as well. But we do know, as you know, as someone who exists in this universe, that everything in the physical universe is light and sound energy vibrating at
Mm-hmm.
different rhythms. And so light therapy is a way to kind of harness that and tap into it and have an effect on that energy on the body. We are designed as human beings to interact with light and sound energy very directly and very easily. And it is something we take for granted. We do know how we feel. I mean, I know some of your listeners are in the Pacific Northwest, like you,
Oh, yes.
and that's where I grew up, and so we would have how many cloudy days in a year. We're kind of going through that right now here in West Michigan as well.
Uh,
We
Today,
haven't
you've
seen the
nailed the weather.
sun.
You've nailed the
And
weather report for today in Washington. It's overcast. It's drizzly
yeah,
today, but
yeah.
absolutely overcast. I don't see a break in the clouds, but it's light, just not as light as it could be. And
And how do you find that you feel on those cloudy days versus on the days when you see sunshine? I mean,
absolutely a little less energized, but I also take my
yeah.
multi and I and
You
my
take your vitamin
wonderful
D,
vitamin cup caffeine. But
right? Right.
absolutely. And talking about to our dear listeners, things like circadian rhythm, which
Hmm.
governs sleep wake cycles for not only us, but also think about all those animals that are hibernating right now, or the
Hmm.
trees, deciduous trees, trees that don't keep their leaves throughout the year are
Yeah,
going into hibernation. The plants in my garden are hibernating because
exactly.
it's not enough light. It's cold. There's
And
no
it's a low energy state. It's,
right.
it's another low energy state that everybody and everything's kind of moving through right now. And so kind of, we take that all into consideration when we do this. And so we know that this time of year, in the winter, in the different areas that we live where there's not enough sunlight, everything is kind of slowed down. Energy is depressed. Energy, everything is low. But we know scientifically, we also know that light exists both as a wavelength and as a particle. And you kind of want to you can visualize it on the electromagnetic spectrum. Usually when I talk about this, I have a really cool visual that I show people, where it shows you everything from the longer radio waves, like you can sometimes get when and if you experience diathermy therapy, which is a radio wave, a heat therapy that you can get from some PT offices, all the way down to the short wavelengths like UV, X-ray, and then gamma. And we know that some of those are getting into those more harmful wavelengths. And then as a particle, a photon of light has an enormous amount of information that it can share with us, and it interacts directly with our body, directly with our cells. And so using light in these different forms of energy, they're forms that we can send into the body and we can use it to energize and tune the body in different ways. And we know that there's this like Goldilocks range designed to interact with the body. That's that visible to near visible spectrum range of light. Um, and so we also know that every cell in our body emits more than 100,000 light impulses or photons per second. 100,000 light impulses per second.
Admitted from
So
our
we
body?
are from our body, from our
What?
cells. And so we are, we're interacting with the light because we're not only taking it in, we're also giving it off. And so I like to explain to people that we're kind of like plants. We're just like plants, really. I mean, we're just a little bit more complex. And so we know that we need this regular light exposure to help all of the biochemical processes in our body work most optimally. And so that's like kind of what you were talking about with the circadian rhythm and making sure that we address the light for the circadian rhythm. Um, And so how do our cells communicate with light? They communicate in a few different ways. Cell to cell, and that's within those mitochondria, like we talked about earlier, and also through our DNA. It's the exchange of those photons. And then the pulsation of light, and that's where the harmonics come in, and I'll dive into that in a second. That also, the pulsation gives us that frequency that that our body is emitting and operating on. And so the system that I use specifically delivers light at a pulsed frequency, and I can set that frequency to anything that could be beneficial to the health or wellness of a person, or different therapeutic settings. And so it brings that kind of effective vibration to that body, that frequency, which then affects our cellular water structure, keeping things moving and keeping that cellular homeostasis. So by doing that, by combining the light pulse, or the light photon with the pulsed delivery, helps to kind of maintain that equilibrium and that balance in the body, supporting cellular repair, supporting regeneration, and tuning the body to kind of keep things in balance. And the way that I use it in practice is several different ways, really. I can use it for almost anything. I can use it as a general form of relaxation to help somebody come down if they've been kind of in a high vibration, high energy, stressed out state, and they need to relax. They can come in and have that. Otherwise, I can also target it to the body. And the way that I mean targeted is I have different pads that are different sizes. And so I can put it on a different part of the body that might need more light energy than others. So if there's, if somebody, say, is having some pain in their shoulder, for example, I can place a pad of a specific color over their shoulder and direct that light energy right into the shoulder where it needs it. And I can choose therapeutic frequencies that are going to help with pain relief or relaxation, for example. So it can be very, very targeted, or it can be very general for relaxation or energizing or things like that.
Oh, that's so cool. That is so cool. And when you do this therapy, is it the only thing you do, or is this part of like a larger plan, a more holistic approach? Like if
As
your
a
patients
naturopathic doctor, as a naturopathic doctor, I definitely make it part of a holistic approach. It is just one component to my plan. The way that I work with a lot of my clients here, we have an emphasis on the determinants of health. And so, those cover everything from sleep to nutrition to moving your body to finding, doing things that bring you joy, because you can't pour from an empty cup. The emphasis on that circadian rhythm balance, things like that. And so bringing this light in is just one aspect, and it's one kind of supplemental element that I add into my care plan with my clients over here.
I love that. And I also want to say amen. You can't pour from a empty cup. So many of the listeners of this podcast are coming to realize that and are having empty cups or having symptoms because they are giving, because that's what so many brilliant, wonderful, caring listeners do, our listeners do. And I love that. I love that analogy. I'm going to steal that and use it somewhere. Thank you for that one.
Yeah.
I want to go back to something you mentioned. So there are differences between those colors. You mentioned using different wavelengths for different things. I mean, so many of us have heard a lot about far infrared saunas, infrared sauna, light therapy. Is that what you're talking about? Because my gym has a sauna, but I also hear a lot about other colors used in light therapy. Could you take a moment, as you have been during this whole interview, and educate myself and our listeners about those colors and what they're used for, just so that we can be more informed when searching for therapies like yours, if it resonates with our listeners?
Yeah, for sure. So there are infrared saunas, and a lot of the saunas, today are coming out with full spectrum, so near, mid, and far infrared. And so that's another conversation that we can have in another question. Because the infrared is one level on the spectrum, right? We have the electromagnetic spectrum, we have those wavelengths, right? And if everybody remembers their rainbow, Roy G. Biv. So the wavelength changes as you go on that spectrum, and then you get into that infrared, right? And the colors, the other, the actual colors, the visible colors that we can see, those have their own effect beyond the infrared for the sauna. Violet can be very immunostimulant. It's antiviral and antifungal on a more energetic level. It's connected to trust, memory, and consciousness. You can kind of think about it if you follow the chakra colors at all. It's the crown chakra, but it doesn't penetrate very deeply into the body. It can still affect us very energetically, very emotionally, but it doesn't penetrate as deeply through the skin. The further you go, the deeper the penetration gets. So we move into this indigo blue. That's actually really good for sleep. Now, I know that we know that blue light can be stimulating, right? But if you have blue light earlier in the day, it can help regulate that circadian rhythm. And I'll circle back around to that in a minute here. It's good for muscle relaxation. It is good for sinus health and pituitary health, limbic system, forehead, occiput, and third eye. Again, thinking in chakra. So as you're blue, you're thinking about things in this area, right? Sky blue is going to be more throat, immune, thymus. Same as you move into the aqua and turquoise, you're starting to move down from the head into the neck. You're going to get more benefit on the thymus, the immune system. And then connection between your thoughts and your mind and your emotion, and then the parathyroid and the skin, hands, arms. So kind of like connecting the two parts of your body, like the mind to the body, if you think about that in that kind of aqua turquoise range. Green light is actually getting a lot of good study right now in the realm of chronic pain. There was a study done recently at Duke University that compared the use of green light to opiates or ibuprofen for pain management, and it is getting a lot of really good results with that. It's showing that it actually helps to block the pain receptors when you use green light.
Oh, wow. Yet
Yeah.
another cool tool to use to help alleviate, opioid addiction. I love that. How
Yeah.
cool. So
Yeah.
amazing.
And the other area that they're doing a lot of study with green light is in migraines as well. And so the system that I use, one of the options is a helmet. And in the helmet, it has red, infrared, and green lights. So if you have a migraine, you can put the helmet on and get some green light therapy right into your head and help that migraine kind of decrease the pain there. Green light also shows a lot of really good effect for liver, lungs, immune system, and then of course over the heart chakra. One of the places that I like to put my green pad on my clients is over the heart, because it's really soothing. It's really calming for people. Kind of brings down. I deal with a lot of stress and anxiety, and so kind of brings people down a notch and helps them calm down over the heart there. Yellow, we think a lot of digestion, gallbladder, lymphatic, digestive stimulants and secretions, things like that. So yellow is a really good color to put kind of over the belly. And then orange, I see orange a lot helping in the area of like anxiety, depression, adrenal glands, musculoskeletal system problems, hip joints, things like that, because you're kind of getting into that deeper penetration, as you move towards red.
I just want to mention for our viewers, the adrenal glands are these funny little, they almost look like hats sitting right above our kidneys, and they release a lot of our stress hormones. They're overworked, for sure, for most of us in this world, but very important that we support them. because they're going to help us with our stress response, stress resilience. When they are depleted, we are tired and wired, exhausted, and eventually, if they aren't working anymore, we are not getting out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do, working with the high stress population that I do, we do a lot of work supporting the adrenal glands there.
Part of that holistic
Um,
approach you talked about.
yeah, yeah. And so then finally, red. Red, it has the most studies is red light. I mean, and that's again, it's another kind of buzzword that we're starting to hear a lot about. You're hearing a lot of people talk about, oh, red light therapy, and I want to do red light therapy, and what can red light therapy do for me? And it's phenomenal. Red light is phenomenal. The studies out there showing increased circulation, showing warming and heating and tonifying, leading to pain relief, things like that. It's red light therapy can do a lot for you. You want to make sure that, of course, you're using a good red light therapy device.
Mm-hmm.
But red light, it penetrates the deepest into our body and can do the most for us because of that.
Hang on just 1 sec. Okay. Wow. Thank you so much for explaining all those colors. I love that Roy G. Biv and kind of like working from the innermost layer of the rainbow out to explain all those different areas that it could be helpful for. And this way, our, our listeners, if they are resonating with this type of therapy, can start searching based on those colors for addressing, at least as part of a more cohesive plan in their area, like sauna or laser or what did you call it? Photobiotherapy
Photobiomodulation.
with the color added on. So if you're having gallbladder or vision issues, that plus yellow, or
Mm-hmm.
chronic pain, green, add green to that. And then definitely love that. I love that information about another tool to help prevent opioid addiction, because it's a whole challenge that ruins families and communities. So love any
Yeah,
tools that can help us all be stronger and healthier and pain-free
yeah,
naturally.
for
And
sure.
it's natural, non-addictive. I love that.
Great, exactly. How much more natural can you get than light?
Uh, you can't. I mean, honestly, you can't. I had to close the window because all of a sudden it wasn't quite as sunny, and I was getting so blasted with light that I was looking like a Twilight character. Okay, so going back to that green light, is that helpful for headaches and back pain, and also for fatigue and stress? What other colors like red and far infrared, which you mentioned penetrate deeper into the cells, would be helpful, at least for us tired and wired folks?
Yeah, yeah. So, so red and infrared and green have shown the most promise so far in the realm
Mhm.
of pain, and pain management, for fatigue and stress, etc. So the way that this works, and I'm going to get a little bit technical again here. So we know that the shorter wavelengths, like we were talking about, don't have as deep a penetration into the skin as, for example, red and infrared. But they are finding that those shorter wavelengths can pass their photons and communicate their energy, via what are called calcium gated ion channels within our body. So our cells kind of talk to each other through electrolytes like sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, things like
So
that.
gatekeepers using
Exactly.
electrolytes that we've all are familiar with from maybe high school biology.
Right, exactly. So using those gatekeepers, the light can help to kind of move around the body through that effect there. And so at the cellular level, and we're going to go back down to that mitochondria again, okay? There is an enzyme in the mitochondria called cytochrome C oxidase. And that helps it, what it does is it activates and it helps the body to produce more ATP. That's our energy, right?
That's our go juice, go powder, or whatever you want to call
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. And light is donating the photons to these cells that need energy. And the photons then increase the production of ATP. So, really, from that sense, it doesn't really matter which wavelength of light you're going for. if you're trying to increase energy and support energy production, because it's using those calcium gated ion channels to move energy back and forth. Some of the other things that it can do is it can help to increase oxygenation in our body. And so by applying the right light to the body, it can help to trigger production of those reactive oxygen species without inducing DNA damage. UV light, ultraviolet, and excess heat. So if you're trying to do light therapy in a sauna, for example, actually can create too much reactive oxygen species. So we don't want to do that. But otherwise, you're going to be signaling the immune system to create homeostasis and reduce that oxidative damage.
So back to the normal, back to
Mhm,
normal homeostasis, back to
exactly.
normal without
Keeping things
causing more
nice and
damage.
stable. Exactly. And then it also can impact the alkalinity within our body, the using light. Because of those calcium gated ion channels, you're releasing that excess calcium into the blood through the light, which makes the body more alkaline. And we know that it is healthier to be in a more alkaline state than in a more acidic state. So,
I assume that's
how I
like a very small uh zone of that
yes,
slight alkalinity because the body's so good at controlling pH and
exactly. We want to
alkaline
maintain that
acidic pH.
homeostasis. Exactly. But we know that being in a little bit more alkaline state is healthier for us. That's why you see like alkaline water out and about in the grocery stores and things like that.
And isn't that
We
more like anti viral, it's just it's harder for illness and infections
It
to
is.
thrive in that pH?
Exactly. Dr. Otto Heinrich Warburg, I have a quote from him that I like, which says that disease cannot thrive in an alkaline environment. So it's good to remember that if you kind of lean towards more alkaline, and that's, I mean, we get more alkaline environment by eating our fruits and veggies and keeping things whole foods based, less processed, things like that.
So
That
colorful diet, eat the rainbow, as they say.
exactly,
I'm going to put a plug in
exactly,
here for eating more veggies than fruit because minerals are so important for our health, for our mitochondria, for everything. And as much as I love fruit, only vitamins in fruit. In veggies, you get vitamins and minerals. So sorry,
exactly.
my little soapbox. My patients will tell you I'm a little bit crazy about encouraging veggies at every meal.
I mean, it's important. It really is, like you said. And those minerals, I mean, that's how we get back to that calcium gated ion channels and like how we move things through the body with different minerals and things. And all of our biochemical processes rely on minerals and things like that. So, I can be up here preaching about light therapy all day, but if you're not eating a veggie rich diet to get those minerals, your biochemical processes still aren't going to function optimally.
So you're saying this can't be the only thing you do to biohack your body?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So, yeah. Another thing that we can do with this that helps with the stress and relaxing is with the light therapy, it helps to address circulation. It helps to kind of
Hmm.
what it does is it stimulates the release of nitric oxide in our body, which relaxes our blood vessels, allowing more blood to flow. Um, it helps to helps stimulate collagen production. It helps to modulate blood pressure. So keep your blood pressure nice and even. Again, you're increasing your energy production, you're decreasing pain, you're supporting your immune system, and then you're supporting your antiviral, your bacteria and virus fighting processes within the body by allowing for your body to kind of move into that relaxed state with that increased level of nitric oxide.
I could see
Um,
that being great for helping the tired and wired people
yes,
who just can't sleep, just
yes,
relaxing those blood vessels, dropping your blood pressure, improving muscle flow to, in and out of your, improving blood flow in and out of your muscles to help them get the nutrients they need to recover. Oh, yeah, this is all connecting in my brain. I hope that our listeners are able to follow along because there's just so much amazing knowledge being released here. I so appreciate you taking the time and being an expert in this field. I also
Yeah.
want to put a plug in just for a little extra aha I had. Light laser therapy for helping get rid of wrinkles is using certain spectrums of light, obviously for collagen, and it must be using all these principles. And maybe some
Mhm.
of our viewers have been thinking about laser therapy or ways to improve the texture of their complexion. And now I'm realizing that lasers are used in dermatology offices and aesthetic practices, and maybe they should just have the added benefit of relaxation and see a wonderful functional medicine provider such as yourself for a more complete, holistic, all wellness plan that includes this wonderful therapy. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
letting me have that aha moment here. Sorry, listeners.
Yeah, I mean, and laser is light therapy. It's just a higher power of light therapy. I mean, it's just different level of intensity on the spectrum. And laser, that was one of the things that, I don't know if you remember from our med school days, but we had the low level lasers in
Mhm.
there, and so we got to learn a little bit about using laser therapy, low level laser therapy in practice back then, and it was just emerging when we were going through school, really. Like
So
they were just
bananas.
getting into using the low level lasers,
I
and it's come so far
I
since then.
recommended that to a patient today, like
Yeah.
an hour before uh right now when we're doing this interview.
Yeah.
Literally was like, oh, trucker's knee from, the carpool slog that is happening.
Yeah.
Yes, inflammation's there. Let's find you someone that does low level laser to see if we can help. Literally a conversation I have with patients, put on treatment plans, mention as a adjunctive tool within a bigger treatment plan. I love that. And you're right. It's advanced so much, the technology
Yeah, I mean, and light therapy really it provides the body with different transcription factors that help that cell for healthy cell regeneration. So when you have somebody who's got like trucker's knee from sitting in the carpool slog, I remember those days. It's hugely beneficial in helping in cellular repair and regeneration. The photons that are donated help the body with that cellular regeneration. And so it also, the other thing that it allows for when you drop your body into that state of relaxation, and when you're giving it all these things that it needs with the cellular energy, the light energy, it also helps to increase glutathione in our tissues. And glutathione is another big buzzword that's out and about these days in the realm of wellness, immunity, antioxidants, etc. It is our master antioxidant, really, glutathione is. And so, if you're releasing more glutathione into the body and you're able to utilize it, that allows for a subsequent increase in energy and an increase in focus. So, all in all, I mean, getting the body the light it needs is going to be hugely beneficial to helping in boosting that energy, finding that focus, really getting down and getting what you need done.
of that. Love, love, love glutathione too. I put it on so many patient treatment plans, the building blocks of glutathione. My patient population tends to have a lot of infections, a lot of depletion. We make glutathione, guys. It's made primarily in our liver and other areas, but it's something we call the master antioxidant, or maybe we should call it the mother of all antioxidants. And
Ooh, I like
we
that.
get depleted when we're exhausted and fatigued and constantly being bombarded with infections. And I don't know, I feel like so many patients are living in a toxic world. It's important for detox, it's antiviral, antibacterial, anti-cancer. And if you don't need extra support in those realms, it's anti-aging, which I don't know. I'd love to be healthy as long as possible. So anything that helps support my cells being healthier, I'm all for. And,
Yes.
it's certainly one of those therapies that come in a lot of different forms, but it seems like the light therapy is adding in some extra benefits beyond just increasing this one wonderful mother of all antioxidants. I'm going to keep calling it mother of all antioxidants from now
I love
on.
that. I love
Oh
that.
man, I love this. I'm gonna have to start putting more full spectrum light therapy on patients' treatment plans for glutathione alone. I
Yes.
love these interviews. I learned so much, guys. I learned so much today, and I know we're not quite at the end of our interview. It's just like gold, both as a provider and a consumer of holistic medicine. I love this. I'm getting tingles from how great this wonderful light tool is. So if I had access to a far infrared sauna at the gym, how do I know when it's time to seek additional help? If I'm trying to, treat headaches or muscular pain or improve my health, and I'm using the sauna at the gym, what signs should I look for as a clue that I should seek someone such as yourself who specializes in light therapy to help to help me get to the next step of healing?
Yeah, so being able to use an infrared sauna is a great start. It combines two of my favorite therapeutics, and that's lights by the infrared spectrum, and then sauna, which is great because we all need to sweat. And sweating is hugely beneficial for detox. And I do detox with a lot of my clients here as well. Because as you said, we live in an increasingly toxic world. And so anything we can do to help support that process is huge. And so being able to use a sauna is great. Definitely make sure you're using the sauna safely and not overheating when you're in it. If you've never used a sauna before, that's a great starting point for finding somebody to talk to that is knowledgeable in this, because you don't want to just jump into a sauna and not know what you're getting into. And infrared saunas are a little bit different than your standard just hot sauna or steam sauna, because the infrared saunas heat your body at a cellular level. So you're not going to feel the heat right away. You may step in there and it may not, like, it may say it's 160 degrees, but it may not feel like 160 degrees. But you're going to know it quicker than you would otherwise, because it's heating you at a cellular level, really. So being able to use a sauna is great, and it's a great spot to start.
Mhm.
But I would say, if you have more targeted goals for the light therapy, such as treating a specific condition, a specific location, like you talked about the trucker's knee, or wondering the best system or way to use it for your own personal health goals, that's always best to consult a specialist in light therapy, as they're going to be your best guide as to how to safely get started with a good system. They'll help you find a good system out there and then let you know the best way to utilize it. Maybe it's going to be every day for you. Maybe it's going to be once a week. Um, Really, depending on what your health goals are and what you're looking to achieve, they can help you find the system that's right for you.
That's good advice. Say I've been going to the gym and using the sauna, for a couple months and I'm still not feeling great. That also probably is a time to reevaluate and find an expert. I mean, I hired
For
experts all
sure.
the time to do stuff, and I can waste a lot of time trying to figure it out myself, self
We do
heal,
that a
self
lot.
diagnose. We do, both as professionals and
Mhm.
fake professionals in my, web building attempts. So I love that. So, dear viewers, if you're going to the gym, already doing a lot of far infrared sauna, light therapy stuff, and you're still just feeling not great, tired and wired, the pain is not going back, you're not sleeping well, you're feeling your hormones are all over the place, time to search and find
Yeah.
a
Find a
specialist.
professional,
Hire an expert. You're going
because
to save so much time and money
mhm,
and pain and suffering by just spending a little time with someone who
because
gives a darn about what they do. And
yes, exactly,
Dr.
exactly.
Dr.
And
Kendra, I I hope that you are just the example of the passion that folks who do light therapy are, because I would see you in a heartbeat if I lived in anywhere near you. Um, I just love that.
yeah, I mean, and it's important because um like, if you're not finding any relief by sitting in the sauna, because the sauna provides so many more benefits than just detox. I mean, it's heat shock proteins, it helps with longevity, it helps with sleep, it helps with all these other things. And if you're not finding any benefits, there's something else going on. There's something else that needs support. And that's definitely when you should be like, okay, this was supposed to be helping me and it's not So I need to go find out why. And that's where, you can find a professional that can maybe run some labs on you, or maybe has a different approach to try.
Mhm.
Maybe you need to ease into the sauna in a different way in order to get the effects you're looking for.
I just want to put a plug in for keeping hydrated when you go into the sauna before,
Hmm.
during, and after. And if you're someone who doesn't sweat or doesn't sweat easily, it's also one of those things where you should really evaluate if you're going into an infrared sauna, how you're doing, because you aren't getting that normal trigger of sweating to cool yourself off. So I
Exactly.
just want to mention that as well, because many of my chronically ill patients tell me that they don't sweat initially when we start working together. And maybe this infrared sauna at the gym isn't the best tool for you to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, consultant expert sounds like Dr. Kendra has some wonderful different size pads and lights that can help you get a health benefit without that internal cellular heat up, which could be very, very scary. Do you, so how can you do light therapy? Are there different ways to do light therapy beyond the usual sauna? I think you've kind of already answered this, but I just want to say I've I've seen IV catheters, literally little light filaments that just like if you are going to get a nutrient IV or you're in the hospital needing a rehydration IV, it's just put into a vein and allowed to do the light spectrum things. So I know that there's different therapies. Obviously, the IV catheter light option is for infectious disease, anti-aging. There's a variety of different wavelengths that they use, but I'm betting there's a lot less invasive techniques, as you've kind of alluded to. So you don't need to
Yeah.
go be really sick in the hospital to get therapies like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not as well versed in the IV catheter ones, because being out here in West Michigan, they don't offer us licensure yet. So I don't get to play with any of my needles or things from the past when I used to work in Washington. I don't get to do injectables or anything. So that's unfortunate that I don't get to play with those. But there are a ton of other ways to do light therapy in one form or another. One of the really well-known ones are the different light boxes that are out there. A lot of them, like you hear them called the Happy Light. Those are
I have
easy to
one literally called Happy Light.
Yep, yep. Those are easy to find locally and online. They're relatively affordable. They're easy to use. Those are more of a full spectrum light that you're going to get. And so you want to look for, the more powerful lux on those. There's also a lot of red light therapy systems out there now. So many red light therapy systems. A lot of times you'll see them as kind of a big rectangular panel, and they've got a bunch of red light diodes on them. And so the thing that I would tell people with those is, before you drop the big money on one of those pads or panels or whatever, you want to make sure the company is reputable. You want to make sure the product itself is well studied, and that the company stands by their product with some sort of warranty. So check into those things before you purchase out there.
I know
They
that they're even using red light therapy to help regrow hair, and that
Mhm.
um, not every red light cap therapy for improving hair follicle health is good, because some of them, like you mentioned earlier, can be creating more oxidative stress than it's worth due to the
Right,
overheating. So
right.
I'm definitely seeing a lot of red light therapies being marketed. And again, that's such great advice, making sure they stand by their product and that they're reputable, and ask the good questions, just like
Mhm.
Dr. Kendra told us to ask.
Yeah,
Call the company.
yeah, exactly. Call the company, talk to somebody there, and make sure you can, find the research and the information that you need. Um, there are other places that have red light therapy systems that are kind of like tanning beds. So it's a big giant bed full of red light diodes. A lot of times they mix red and infrared, and it's got the cover that comes over and everything. Those things are very expensive. So if you want to purchase one for yourself, great, but they're really expensive, and honestly, I don't think they're really needed. Um, there are some saunas that do chromotherapy now, so they can be infrared.
Hmm.
They can also offer other colored therapies. But like I was saying earlier, you generally don't want to mix red light therapy with sauna, because that way you're removing the benefit beneficial effects of the red light by overheating the person in the sauna at the same time. So it's generally not well thought of to do red light therapy and sauna together. You can do them one right after the other, or twice in same in the same day. All of that works, but generally not. Best practice is to not do them together.
Okay.
There are red lights out there, like you can just plug a red light in. It's a red light. It will get you some of the effects, but I don't generally find those as beneficial as some of the other systems that are out there. The other cool thing that I've seen people do for color therapy and light therapy is that they make glasses, kind of like sunglasses. I don't know if you've seen these, but they are in all different colors of the rainbow. And like you can get a pair of red sunglasses or blue sunglasses or purple sunglasses, and then you wear them throughout your day, and everything that you're taking in to your
Hmm.
eyes is coming in through that wavelength of color. And so it's kind of affecting the body because your body is still taking stuff in through the eyes. It's one of the primary ways that we take in light information. And so it's taking it in through that wavelength. And so you're getting that color light coming into your eyes on a like as long as you're wearing those glasses. It's really fascinating. So
That's so interesting. Is it
yeah,
still the same,
another
the donation of the photons with the light, or
mhm.
okay.
Because you're still getting the light information, it's just coming through the colored glasses. And so you're still getting the light from outside or the sun or whatever, light you're interacting with during the day. And it's just,
It's being
it's
converted to the right
mhm,
wavelengths based on the colors?
exactly. Exactly. It's
I had
really
not heard of
fascinating.
that. I've heard of the blue
Yeah.
light blocking glasses. I know that there's sheets for dyslexics and folks who have traumatic brain injuries to put over screens to help with reading and the brain focus. I had not heard of these glasses. I'm gonna have to start doing
Yeah.
some research and get a pair. Or a couple
Yeah.
pairs, it sounds like. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Dr. Kendra, is there anything else you'd like to tell our listeners?
Mhm.
I feel like you've given us so much information, so much gold, and helped us kind of move our understanding of light therapy to a deeper level and kind of given us some cautionary and some guidance around infrared saunas and far infrared saunas. But anything else you would like to tell our listeners?
Yeah, I guess, just a couple things I'll end on. And we can't forget the importance of just using the sun as light therapy. I mean, we can talk about going and getting these fancy red light panels or, the devices like I have, things like that, and using that on our bodies. But the sun is just as beneficial, and it is free when it is shining outside, which is
No, in the
not for me
Pacific
today.
Northwest.
And it's crucial. It's crucial for our bodies to get out and get exposed to the sunlight first thing in the morning. And then again, as the sun goes down, this helps to balance that circadian rhythm. It helps to regulate it. And that's critical for our overall health. If you have fatigue, energy issues, hormone imbalance, weight concerns, pretty much anything, it all like harkens back to making sure your circadian rhythm stays regulated and stays healthy. And that starts with regular sunlight exposure. The other thing that I would caution people on is more is not always better. So I know a lot of people sometimes think that, oh, if one is good, two must be better, or, things like that when it comes to different pills or supplements or, recommendations, health recommendations. And this goes for everything. More is not always better. More sunlight is not always better. Moderate that. And more light therapy is not always better. You may not need it every day. Some people might for a period of time, but some people may not. So and that's where, it comes down to getting important to work with somebody or to find somebody knowledgeable who will help you know what is the right amount for you. Because we do know that everybody's different and everybody's on, some sort of a spectrum of need of light energy. So more is not always better. And don't forget about the sun.
Love that. I love that. Well, it's cloudy and rainy right now, but as soon as the sun comes back out in the Pacific Northwest, I will definitely be retiring my happy light for a year and doing that. I love the way getting in front of that full spectrum light for a while ahead of, first thing in the morning just to help set the circadian rhythm can affect the rest of your day and help improve sleep at night. I love that. Also, it sounds like everyone's needs are a little different, especially if you're tired and depleted. You may have a you may need more for your Goldilocks zone versus someone who's just being proactive and preventative who might just need it sporadically. I love that. Thank you so much for those wonderful, wonderful pieces of cautionary and just informed wisdom and practicality. It's like practical, just more isn't always better. We tell patients that all the time. There's a Goldilocks zone, as you said, for most therapies. Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the Rebootology Health Natural Solutions for Health and Happiness for the Modern Woman podcast with me, Dr. Rachel Winstead. You can reach Dr. Holly Kendra at Luminosity Wellness or follow her on social media, which will be linked in the show notes below. If you would like to hear, if you like what you hear, you can listen to this episode and others on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Please remember to click the like button in our show notes and click the like button and check out our show notes, and also subscribe to our newsletter to get great health information and also be the first to know about upcoming events and when a new episode drops. Be sure to like us on Facebook and Instagram pages. I look forward to talking with you again soon. Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the Rebootology Health Natural Solutions for the Health and Happiness of the Modern Woman podcast with me, Dr. Rachel Winstead. You can reach Dr. Holly Kendra at Luminosity Wellness or follow her on social media, which will be linked in the show notes below. If you'd like to hear this podcast again or other episodes, you can find us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Please remember to like the show and also check out our show notes for links to Dr. Kendra's social media and also to sign up for our newsletter so that you can get great health tips as well as learn about any of our upcoming events. Also, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram pages and be the first to know when new episodes drop. Look forward to talking with you again soon.